What happens when a random Uber ride turns into a conversation about jazz radio, Philadelphia culture, authenticity, and the lost art of listening? Today's guest is Marc Goldberg, and this conversation went in the direction I never expected. This is Electric Pete. Oh, yeah, it's time to ride with Electric Pete, where the wheels are clean, the vibes are high, and the future's fully charged. We've got that rideshare love. No gas, just go. Full charge, full power. Now let's roll. Uh, First question, what made you say yes to doing a podcast with some random Uber driver?
I've always had faith in the good nature of most people. And even more, I've always wanted to make sure that my story, my message can reach as many people as possible. So maybe one day that message can help them when they find it.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. And um, what you had noticed about me, and you said my mustache.
As a facial hair aficionado, I always notice it.
Well, there you go. Well, very good, very good. That's excellent. So yeah, and I got to tell you, when I was giving you a ride home, and we had a chance to talk, and just kind of uncovering um, just some of your roots and some of the things that you were working on. I was like, oh my gosh, this you got to be on my podcast. So that was pretty cool. So now, well, let me ask you, do you think people are craving more real conversations today?
I think people in an age of social media, Hollywood PR, and AI, more than anything, they're looking for authenticity, the best way to do it, a good conversation.
Hmm. Absolutely. And we did have a good conversation. So and we're going to have even
Certainly.
a better conversation right now. Um, so yeah, that's great. And so obviously I met you on the way home. And um so let me all right. So what and you told me about your experience with college radio and jazz.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you about that real quick. What did college radio teach you about communication?
You got to know your stuff. You've got to be able to research. If you're doing something like radio, to monologue, it's half skill, half prep. And you've really got to do your research and you have to have a lot of confidence. Every sphere of communication, like radio, requires confidence. You got to know your stuff and feel like you can know it, so to speak. It's half knowledge, half the spirit that even if you didn't have that knowledge, you still believe what you're saying. To
Hmm.
me, that's
Hmm.
what I learned from radio is you need to have as much faith in yourself as your top fan would.
Hmm.
Otherwise, what are people going to be drawn to? If
Right.
not me, who else?
There you go. That's excellent. That's great. So tell me a little bit about some of the jazz that you really kind of enjoy.
So I'm all about blues, which is where jazz comes from, much like rock
Okay.
and roll comes from
Hmm.
blues. As Muddy Waters once said, the blues had a baby, named it rock and roll. I was raised on the classics, the band, Bob Dylan, Neil Young. I'm a mega fan of Lou Reed, the Velvet Underground. And for me, I've always been intellectually curious. I was raised watching Nova, among other things. So I always wanted to know, where's this music coming from? Where did these guys get these ideas from? And so the more I looked, the more the same names came coming up. All these blues legends, Muddy Waters, Charlie Patton, um, Howlin' Wolf, all these old blues legends, the Checker Records performers, Chess Records had all of the big names you can think of, even B.B. King. That's really was the gathering ground. And for me, when I discovered their music, and even the older ones, like Blind Willie Johnson, which is more gospel influenced, just the raw authenticity of it really just blew my mind. That these people, with the virtuosity they had in their music, were able to express a kind of emotion, whether it's braggadocious, whether it's mournful, whether it's struggle, or it's pride. The way they could speak from the heart with such talent, that's what drew me to the blues at the end of the day.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, that's great, man. I mean, I can tell that you've got a knowledge of 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 jazz, blues, and the people that are in there. So, um, now, what do you think authenticity, or do you think authenticity in music still connects with people in today's
Abs-
world?
Absolutely. I think authenticity is something we all subconsciously want in our music. I think even with artists that we might not consider authentic, people will always kind of try projecting it on them. They want to believe the stories they see. I think, if you look at a lot of underground or indie music, there's a huge emphasis in those communities about authenticity. Even big name musicians. I
Hmm.
think a lot of musicians, not even ones I listen to, but ones who are popular, who center their story, whether it's Chapel Roan. I think a lot of people identify with Miley Cyrus's journey from, celebrity brat to someone actually making decent music. I think people who are open about where they've been, their struggles, even if it's not familiar to us, the struggles of being a celebrity, I think people are drawn to that. They want to know their artist as a person, even if, guys like you and me might not find modern pop authentic, technically. But people are very much drawn to the themes, to the stories and struggles of these celebrities. And I think that's a showing of people's demand for authenticity.
Hmm. That's great. That's great. Now, you used the phrase unvarnished hospitality about Philadelphia. What did you mean by that?
Well, in Philly, people often, think we're loud, we're brash, braggadocious even. And that's not because we're mean people. It's because we have a lot to be proud of and we love sharing it with people who don't know about it. To us, we're straight to the point. We have a lot to be proud of. And we come at it with that straight from the heart, blunt, to the facts, kind of working class bluntness, that authenticity, really. We have a lot to be proud of, and we love meeting people. I think Philly is one of the friendliest cities in the world. We're just very direct. We don't mess around. We don't mull the mulberry bush. We want you to know what we think, and we tell you it because we respect you. There's a lot we have to be proud of in this city, and we want to let you know as quick as possible, as much as possible. And people can like it or they cannot, but it's Philly at its heart.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, people tell me all the time who are visitors who are in my Uber, um, tell me all the time, oh, this city is so great. Everybody's so friendly. And I just don't know where it comes from that Philadelphia is mean and nasty or anything like that.
A lot of people take, our openness, we're expressive people, we're authentic. We're not going to sugarcoat things for you. We're going to tell you what we think as it is. And people from cultures that are even within America more reserved, more procedural, more reserved, they take our authenticity, our rawness, our unvarnishedness as inhospitality, when really it's our version of hospitality. Hospitality.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, they're just not used to it. But I think from everyone I've ever met who's visited from out of state, out of Philly even, when they visit Philly enough for long enough, they realize Well, they're not inhospitable people at all. They're just very hospitable. They're very, hospitable,
Mhm.
but in a very unfiltered way. And it takes getting used to.
I would agree with that.
It's like good
I would agree
coffee,
with that.
it's got a grain to it, but the more you are lived, the more experienced you are, the more you like it.
Absolutely. So now your grandfather said that the only skill that you need is listening. Why do you think that's so rare today?
I think everyone wants to be the center of attention. I mean, we have a media system, a culture that prioritizes, people who are loudmouths, people who are attention getters, people who want to be the main character, as many people my age range say. Being at the center of attention, it's incentivized socially, economically. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really make you a productive person, and it doesn't make a productive culture. Listening allows us not only to get along, but more than that, pre-productive. It's not just getting along to get along. When we understand each other, we can achieve goals, common ground we might not have known we had with other people, really. I've had, many friends across the political spectrum, for example, whom I have beautiful relationships with. We've had beautiful discussions, great collaboration. But if we hadn't had the time and patience to listen to each other, we would never have known we could get along. And I think that's both the virtue and the utility of listening, you know.
So yeah, and that reminds me. I mean, every day I meet 20 people. So it's like 51st dates that movie. Um, and um, I've gotten very good at communication, at asking people how the day is going and listening for the cues to continue the conversation. So I absolutely agree with you. I mean, this is something I use every day. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you think makes somebody truly feel heard?
I think the great psychologist Carl Rogers gave some good rules for it. If you can restate what the other person said in your own words well enough, then that person has a higher chance of feeling heard. Because you're saying what they just said right back to them.
Right.
You know, I think asking good follow-up questions, trying to dig deeper. I think even if you go beyond like psychology, sociology, Dale Carnegie put it well. People like being made to feel interesting. People like questions, they like talking about themselves. So if
Hmm.
you do things that signify you've heard what they said and that you want to hear more, I think truly those are the two top things. Another thing is just patience, being able to listen without saying anything on your end and doing that long enough, making yourself known that you're listening, nodding, eye contact, smiling if it's positive. Those three things, body language, questions, restating what they said, that's the way to make people feel heard.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, because certainly, I mean, just from my experience, um, I feel that I have something in common with every single person that steps into my car. And seriously, that's true because I mean, I'm agreeing with you 100% because people think that we're all different. No, but we're really all the same. We're just from different vantage points or viewpoints. And and I think that certainly speaks to how Philadelphia is because we're a melting pot. I mean, Philadelphia, as I said, is um, to you in the car is just an international city,
Hmm.
and there are so many people from so many different cultures and so many different countries in this car. I mean, who get in my car, all throughout the day and who are in Philadelphia. So that's, yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. Um, well, so, and what do you think that means about Philadelphia? That we are so diverse, but we are so much the same.
I think it goes back to how we communicate in this city. We're very
Mhm,
emotionally open people. When we feel something, we express it. And I think given our multicultural, heritage in this city, even things as simple as body language, tone, being able to communicate, being willing to communicate. Sure, there's a lot of conflict, or can look like conflict, but I think having this openness has allowed us to have this interchange of cultures, norms, rules. I think being able to know what's on the mind of the person around you, you kind of start thinking more similarly. You
mhm,
tend to kind of get in tune with each other. I think if we were a more reserved city, you wouldn't see that merging. You wouldn't see that, for better or worse, we have a lot in common with each other, each culture, religion. The fact is, we all the same places we meet up. We all enjoy the same foods, or even just the same sports teams. There are institutions in the city, on top of our communication, that really bind people. We're able to see past what we can just see to what we hear. And people have the same problems as their neighbors. They have the same wants and needs as their neighbors. And sure, we might be painted as complaining a lot, but to me, that's just another way to communicate and really connect with each other.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean that's great. Now, what uh, what gives you hope about younger people in Philadelphia?
I think, to dip in my political science background, but to stay nonetheless pretty nonpartisan, young people are getting active, they're getting aware, and they're getting organized. Young people who always and have always had their complaints about the status quo. What I think is different now is you're seeing an upsurge in these people getting off the couch, getting off social media and actually on the ground with their neighbors, with their friends, trying to push and build the future they want. Because I think we've learned not only can we do it, we have to do it. If we're not out there doing the fighting, building power to become a decision maker, decisions will be made for us. And we're not going to always like those. And I think that's what gives me hope. We have this sense of empowerment, this sense of action and initiative. And I think whether you're right, left, center, or up and down, I don't care. Being able to do that always means a better society.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, and um, so that really, I think, um, it, it, why do you think that the younger generation was on the couch for so long? And what do you think? I mean, I think you just explained it, but maybe you can go deeper. And what do you think was the impetus to have them move, um, into being involved in public instead of being on their phones?
Yeah, I think there's a push and a pull factor. I think, the economy has gotten a lot tougher. There's a lot more inequality. Things are less fair, they're less affordable. And so people can't afford to stay quiet, stay passive anymore. If they don't fight, they'll lose. And if they lose their life, their livelihood, their everything, their country,
Mhm,
their democracy. I think the pull is they've seen people who have made a good example to follow, good role models, various political leaders we've had locally, nationally, have shown that, young people with enough passion and organization can overcome the money gap. the big money issue in our politics. Uh, Money, in many ways, we've realized as our generation, it's a paper tiger. It's stronger than it looks. When you have enough organization in your community, enough passion and know-how, knowing how to bring people together, you can do anything. You really can. And I think that has given people the inspiration and confidence. Like I said in the beginning, communication and action both require confidence. Being able to see it done means you can feel empowered to fight for what you, your neighbors, your family need to happen. To me, that's why I think they're off the couch.
Okay. All right. So, and what kind of future do you hope your generation helps to create?
I think we have to think of our country like a family. Right now, we're a pretty broken family.
Hmm.
I think we all are residents in this household. And what we need to do is start living like a family again. We have to take back our country, take back America, and live as a family again. Repair this home. Everyone in an ideal family, at least my ideal. Everyone gets to live their own lifestyle. They have a certain freedom as individuals. And as long as everyone contributes to the well-being of the household, everyone gets taken care of. And I think if you think of it like a family, providing better health care as a policy detail, better education, supporting families, starting families, I think these are things that matter. A good family doesn't let their family members be homeless or go hungry or not be able to get a doctor's treatment. I think that's the kind of society I'm looking for. There's many policy details I could give, but it's that cooperative spirit, that idea that we have each other's backs. Because if we're not going to live as a family, then what else are we going to live as? It's going to be every man for himself, a lot of home wreckers who want to split people up and
Hmm.
to their own profit, turn people against each other. And we're all poorer when that happens. When a few people want to split us up for their own profit, we all suffer for it. So it's
Hmm.
either that or be a family. That's the vision I'm hoping we fight for.
I agree. I think that being a family and being, working together um, as a family, as a neighborhood, as a township, a city. I mean, it just it keeps extending up and up and up, but and that kind of sometimes creates some issues there. But um, I think that not so much can we all just what's the term? Um, just get along, right? But if we all just get along, then some people are left behind because I think that's going to leave some people behind, right? But people also have to work for themselves,
Hmm.
and take care of yourself. If when you're on a plane, and they always say, "Mom," or if you have a kid with you, put your mask on first, and then put theirs on. Um, you know, because you have to take care of yourself first, and then you're able to take care of others.
Everyone needs to be able to advocate for themselves and get their own needs met. And I think in every family, everyone has their own lives they live. I think there's that, and you take care of each other when you need. And I think that is a pretty even equation.
Mhm.
You got to have a
Mhm.
little bit of both.
So, now, what do you think is something that we can be? I mean, one of the things that my podcast really started on is gratitude.
Hmm.
Okay. And that is, I mean, I'm very grateful for all of the guests that I have, for all of the people who subscribe and follow my podcast. And I mean, it's just fun. I just have so much fun. I'm so grateful that I have this outlet. But what are some of the things that you think people in the city of Philadelphia can be and are grateful for, or yourself?
I think everyone on the whole planet can be always grateful for great conversations with great people around good food. I think those are the pillars of a good life.
Hmm.
And luckily, most of us can afford good food and have good people in our lives to enjoy all these things with, to enjoy each other in conversation and food between ourselves. To me, all I need in life is good food with good people.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I'm
Well,
grateful for.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm
That's what you're
grateful
grateful for.
for.
Excellent. All right. Well, great. Well, I mean, let me just ask you: is there anything that you think um, that you'd like to cover? And I'm just looking for to kind of pull something, I guess, out of you that you think that this is my destiny. This is where I think I need to pull people along to. Um, and I mean, I think you've said quite a bit of it already, but I'm just trying to dig a little deeper um, to see what you're thinking.
I'll be straight to the point, and I think you know where I'm going. Politics has been a lifelong passion, and I try to make it as a wholesome, productive, civil passion as I can. I want to make it a unifying effort. I think simply getting people together for the common good. To me, that's politics, and to me, that's my life mission. Um, that's what I have a lot to say on. I have a lot to say on many things, but if I had to have a destiny, I would consider it politics.
Okay. Okay. And how do you feel that you can help the city of Philadelphia in that arena? What is your plan to do that?
Well, as far as where I live in the suburbs of Philly, getting involved, which I currently am, I would say get involved locally. It's where you'll make the biggest impact. And the impact I'm hoping to make is get enough young people together to one day have the critical mass we need to be the people who make these decisions for everyone, to be able to have a vision, not only a vision for the common good, but to be able to actually make it happen, put rubber to the road, as two of my mentors both like to say. I
Hmm.
think ultimately to not only pursue higher office and these positions of import, but to bring people along with me, to inspire people to get involved themselves. You know, one person gets lost in the wind. It's a flicker in the dark, but
Hmm.
many flickers become a flame that's hard to put out. And people united are far stronger than an atom divided. So I feel that's what I'm trying to bring is
Hmm.
not only a mission, but a movement. Be a
Hmm.
role model, be a guide, tell other people to get involved, whether I agree with them or not, but get out there, fight for what you believe, and do something about it. I can always find common ground with someone who's out there fighting for what they believe. Even if
Hmm.
I absolutely oppose it, I have many friends who are the exact opposite of me, but they fight for what they believe, and we bond over that. So
Hmm.
that's how I
Hmm.
seek to make a difference in Philly.
There you go. Excellent. That's fantastic. That's good. Um, and huh. Well, let me ask you, is there anything else that you'd like to, bring out? Um,
To me, my work in politics is the flip side of my work as an educator. I've recently become employed in the field of special ed. Because to
hmm.
me, education and politics, they're two sides of the same coin of public service. I
Hmm.
think when you're on the ground, at the grassroots, whether in your community, in the classroom, you see how well a society's functioning. The people who feel first how America is going, how our policies are affecting people, how well they're functioning. It's our children, it's our students. So being able to have that dual perspective, it motivates me in both. I was in special ed. Now I work in special ed. It's a
Okay.
welcome back Cotter kind of situation, as my father always reminds me. And to me, my life story, not to get too detailed, I couldn't read till the fifth grade. Within a year, I forced myself to be at a 12th grade level, my teacher said. But along the way, people don't always have kind words for you if you're not reading or doing math like them. So I've always understood the underdog mentality. I've always sympathized with it. And
Hmm.
so I'm really motivated for education, for politics, to fight for the downtrodden like that. The people others might not take seriously. Everything I do is because of that. Because I want to make sure that the little man gets a hand up for once. Someone's going to fight for him and with him. I take with me in education that empathy. And I think in many ways it's enhanced my ability to work with these kids. Because I'm not coming into it as someone who looks down at them, who thinks these are just alien creatures. No, they're one of me and I'm one of them.
Right.
And in politics, it's what motivates me is in the classroom, you can do a lot. But even more, I want to make sure we have a society where the little man, the underdog, the downtrodden, well, they're put first. They're the
Hmm.
people who get an equal say as those who were Ivy League college students, successful, wealthy people, or just, your average Joe. They get to have the same respect and dignity as those people.
Hmm.
To me, that's where we find our country at its best when we relate to those who work for a living, who struggle whichever other way. I think that brings out the humanity in your average citizen, and that's what it motivates me in the work I do. And it goes back to what my grandfather taught me. He was a union leader, very active, many levels, state down to his district local, his building local.
Hmm.
And you know who to fight for and what to fight for when you listen to people. To be a leader, as a teacher, as a politician, you've got to be a microphone for the voiceless. You got to be an ear on the ground. You have to hear what do they need, because that's where you begin. The
Hmm.
first project I ever really succeeded at on my own, independent of other organizers, I got a sidewalk built where I live. For years at the apartment complex I live in, right outside of the borough of Westchester, right outside the campus of the university there. Halfway into town, the part we come in first and last with in our development was just this field of grass. And that
Hmm.
ain't safe at night in bad weather or both. And so
Hmm.
I decided one day, someone has to do something about this. This is obviously something we all want. So what I did research. I listened to the experts. I had to figure out where do you begin, and that led me to the township supervisors. So I figured, the state legislature says if the local government hears there's a safety concern, they've got to do something about it. So
Hmm.
what better way to make ourselves heard than a petition? I gathered 6 pages of signatures from every building in our development. I
Hmm.
submitted it to the municipal government, and during the preceding government meetings, I gave speeches, and in between them, I worked with the local government officials who became good friends of mine. And through that, after 3 long years of red tape, we got our sidewalk built, and now we're an interconnected community and a safer community.
Nice. Excellent.
And that
Excellent.
I've gotten people elected to office, all kinds of things. But to me, that embodied the philosophy and the objectives of my whole career in one fell swoop.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's excellent. Um, well, Mark, thank you very much for coming on Electric Pete. I appreciate it. And, you know, uh, this is really great because this kind of gets your understanding and your, what you're striving for out there. And I think that my subscribers and followers will really appreciate that. So I want to thank you so much.
Of course, I'm honored to
Absolutely.
have you here listening, asking good questions, because at the end of the day, everything comes back to listening, as my grandfather
Yeah.
would always say.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, thank you very much. And I will absolutely be in contact and we'll continue to work together on this. All right.
Absolutely look forward to it. Thank
All
you.
right, Mark. Thank you so much. Take care and have a good day.
You as well, my friend.
All right, ciao. Thank you so much for tuning into Electric Pete. Remember, every rider has a story, and it's my job to share those stories with you. If you enjoy these conversations and want to help Electric Pete grow, especially to upgrade my video and audio gear, or even for even better episodes, please consider supporting the podcast. Your generosity truly makes a difference. Check in the show notes for how to do that. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share Electric Pete with your friends and your family. Find me on social media or reach out anytime at electricpetepod@gmail.com. Until next time, stay charged, stay positive, and keep your eyes on the road ahead. This is Electric Pete signing off.